ideas, but as daily practices. The Stoic man does not flinch from this reality, he entering a story that began before you. There is a quiet gravity in stepping into the life of a woman who already carries another person's heart. She is not just a partner, she is a mother. And her world is already populated by responsibilities, routines, and histories that existed long before you arrived. For a man, this is both an invitation and a test. The romance is real, but so is the reality, the child's needs, the past relationships, the unseen tensions, and the societal judgment. These are the hidden realities that most men never anticipate when they fall in love. Marrying a woman with a child is not merely a choice of heart, it is a decision that reshapes your life, challenges your patience, tests your boundaries, and demands emotional mastery. Stoicism teaches us to face reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. To see things clearly, without illusion, is the first step toward wisdom and fulfillment. This guide is designed for the man who seeks that clarity. It is an unflinching examination of what it truly means to love a woman with a child, and how to do it well, without losing yourself in the process. This journey will cover 10 core areas, each a cornerstone of the blended family experience: the emotional terrain, the financial landscape, the dynamics of parenting, and the subtle tests to your masculinity, patience, and character. 1. The ever-present shadow of the past. When a woman becomes a mother, her life becomes a layered story. One layer is her own, her personality, her choices, her love. Another layer is the child's life, shaped by someone who may no longer be present, or who continues to influence from afar. For the man entering this world, the past is a permanent presence. The child carries genetics, memories, and sometimes attachments to a father figure who will never truly be replaced. Birthdays, school events, medical forms, and even casual conversations are tinged with echoes of what came before. The challenge is not to erase this history, it cannot be undone. The challenge is to accept, integrate, and navigate it without resentment. A Stoic approach requires acknowledging what is outside your control and focusing on what is within it: your behavior, your love, and your contributions to the present. To walk this path successfully, a man must cultivate patience, emotional resilience, and a mindset that honors both the child's origins and the new life being built. Love in this context is not blind, it is conscious, deliberate, and courageous. 2. You are a co-pilot, not the captain. From the moment you commit, you must relinquish the fantasy of total control. This is one of the most profound and humbling shifts a man must make. In a traditional nuclear family, decision-making often evolves organically between two biological parents. As a stepfather, you are entering an ongoing flight with a pre-established crew and a flight plan that was drafted long before you boarded. Decisions about discipline, education, family routines, and even relocation are rarely yours to dictate alone. You may have strong, well-reasoned opinions on homework habits or curfews, but you must present them as suggestions to the captain, your partner. Ultimate authority rests with her, forged through years of shared history, legal agreements, and a biological bond you cannot replicate. The structures already in place are not just routines, they are the emotional and psychological scaffolding of the child's life, and to disrupt them carelessly is to risk collapsing the entire structure. This requires a deep and active humility. It is the humility to bite your tongue when a parenting decision you disagree with is made, and to support it nonetheless. It is the recognition that your influence is significant but shared, not just with your partner, but with a past you can never change, and often with a biological father who remains a permanent figure in the child's constellation. Your role is that of a navigator, a first officer, and a systems expert. You provide a second opinion, point out hazards on the horizon, and help manage the internal climate of the family vessel. You earn your seat not by seizing the controls, but by proving your reliability, your calm under pressure, and your unwavering commitment to the safety and destination of the entire family. A Stoic man understands that true power lies not in controlling the external world, the actions of a child, the decisions of his partner, but in mastering his own reactions, his ego, and his expectations. In that self-mastery, he finds a satisfaction far more profound than the brittle satisfaction of command. Section 3, The Discipline Dilemma. Establishing authority as a step-parent is a high-wire act performed without a net. It is a delicate art where the consequences of a misstep are immediate and emotionally costly. Too firm, too soon, and you cement your role as the villain, an interloper who imposes harsh, unloving order. Too lenient, and you become a ghost in the home, a pleasant but irrelevant figure who commands no respect and provides no guidance. The critical distinction is this: in a biological parent, authority is often assumed, rightly or wrongly, through biological right. In a step-parent, authority must be earned through consistent, daily deposits in the emotional bank account. Every decision, every correction, every boundary you set is scrutinized under a microscope, by the child, who is testing your mettle and your love, by your partner, who is silently judging your alignment with her parenting philosophy, and sometimes by outsiders like grandparents or teachers, who watch with wary eyes. To navigate this minefield, a man must cultivate a triad of essential virtues. Patience, understanding that respect is a slow-growing crop, not to be harvested in a day. You will be tested, challenged, and ignored. Patience allows you to see these not as personal attacks, but as a child's natural process of defining new boundaries. Empathy, the ability to see the world from the child's perspective, a world of split loyalties, confusion, and often, unresolved grief. A disciplinary issue is rarely just about the broken rule, it is often a manifestation of a deeper emotional turmoil. Empathy allows you to address the root cause, not just the symptom. A calm, unwavering presence, your greatest tool is not the volume of your voice, but your unshakable composure. When you respond to defiance with quiet firmness, to anger with steady reason, you become a pillar of stability in the child's often chaotic emotional world. You demonstrate that strength is not loud, but consistent. Over time, this consistency builds a foundation of trust. Respect, when it finally comes, will not be born of fear, but of the quiet understanding that you are a man of your word, who cares deeply, and whose boundaries are both firm and fair. Then, and only then, does your role become secure. 4. Financial realities and responsibility. Supporting a child who is not biologically yours is a continuous test of character, demanding a clarity of purpose that goes beyond simple arithmetic. The financial landscape of a step-family is often complex and fraught with emotional pitfalls. College savings, groceries, vacations, and daily expenses are all investments into a life that is only partially yours, a life for which you bear responsibility without the primal, biological imperative of a parent. Meanwhile, the biological father may contribute inconsistently, unevenly, or not at all. This can breed a quiet resentment, a sense of unfairness that you are carrying a burden that rightfully belongs to another. It is here that a Stoic principle becomes your most vital financial instrument: view wealth not as a part of your identity, but as a tool for action. The Stoic understands that money isn't indifferent, it is neither good nor bad, but its use can be virtuous or vicious. Providing in this context is not about fulfilling a societal obligation, seeking validation from your partner, or receiving recognition from the child. To tie your financial contributions to these expected returns is to set yourself up for disappointment and bitterness. Instead, reframe the act of giving. See it as an exercise in virtue. Responsibility, you are using your resources to support the well-being of your household, which is a virtuous and honorable act, regardless of the DNA of its members. Integrity, you are aligning your actions with your commitment. You said you would be a partner and a provider, now you are doing so, even when it is inconvenient or unacknowledged. Discipline, you are mastering the impulse to keep score, to tally your contributions against those of the absent father or even against the emotional returns from your stepchild. Resilience, you are building a financial and emotional foundation that is not dependent on external fairness. By giving freely, without the expectation of repayment or even gratitude, you cultivate an inner fortress of character. You learn that the true reward is not in the transaction, but in the act of provision itself, the quiet knowledge that you are acting as a good man should, using your tools to build a better world for those in your care. This is the Stoic path to financial and emotional peace. 5. The second place heart. One of the hardest truths a man must confront when marrying a woman with a child is that he will never be her absolute first priority. This is not a failing or a slight, it is the immutable mathematics of a mother's love. Her heart has a pre-existing, non-negotiable tenant. In emergencies, in daily routines, and in the quiet, unspoken calculations of her mental energy, the child's well-being will naturally come first. A scraped knee will trump a bad day at work, a school play will take precedence over a quiet dinner, a teenager's heartbreak will demand emotional resources that might otherwise have been yours. Stoicism teaches us that suffering arises not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. A man who enters this life with the expectation of being the sole object of his partner's devotion is building his house on a foundation of resentment. The true challenge, and the true path to peace, lies in a radical redefinition of fulfillment. Satisfaction is not mine from being prioritized above all else, but from the deep, quiet pride of embracing the role you do hold, a loving partner, a steady presence in the storm of adolescence, a mentor who offers a different perspective, and a protector of the entire household unit, even when that protection goes unseen. This requires a deliberate emotional detachment from the ego. It is the discipline of celebrating your partner's fierce loyalty to her child, even when it means your own needs are momentarily sidelined. Your love must become less reactive and more intentional, a conscious choice to support the structure of the family rather than demand its constant validation. Over time, this second-place status undergoes a profound alchemy. It is transformed from a perceived limitation into a conscious, dignified choice. You are not settling for less, you are choosing a greater, more complex good. In doing so, you strengthen not only the family but forge a character of immense patience and selfless strength. 6. The third party in your marriage. Marriage to a single mother almost always involves a permanent third presence, the biological father. He is a ghost in the machinery of your new life, his influence felt in scheduling conflicts, financial arrangements,